Hello, welcome to the video, and today we're going to talk about crafting the best save data that you can. So now we're going to go deeper into understanding how to make the best save data for your characters and what key things that you want to look out when you're trying to make a save data for your character. So first, let's talk about Mika. So Mika is a very strong free-to-play character that you get for free, and she's kind of one of the characters that you kind of want to keep on your team always. Or basically, if you don't have any other good healer, you could just throw her on your team. If you need extra AP, you could just throw her on the team. If you need sustain, you just throw her on the team. She's basically just that good of a character. But now we're going to talk about what should you do and how should you craft a save data for her. So I had more save data, but I deleted the ones I don't need because it didn't fit the playstyle I wanted. So first, let's go into how to make a great save data. So as you can see from these save datas, you can see that she is missing a card. That she is missing some cards on certain save datas, and that's because to craft the best save data, you want to get rid of cards that you don't need in the deck so you can thin out the deck. Since when you run out of cards in your deck, it shuffles your discard pile and you basically get a fresh deck of the cards that you have. So what you want to do is get rid of all the cards you don't need and put in cards that you want. So you get those cards more frequent compared to the other cards that you don't want. So in her base deck that you get for free, the one that every character has, the default deck, she has Water Arrow. I immediately get rid of Water Arrow because I have no use for this card. It doesn't bring anything for the table. She doesn't do a lot of damage, so I would never use Water Arrow attack. So this is one of the cards I would get rid of when I'm doing a chaos run because she is all about sustain. Give me AP, give me heals, but I don't want her attacking. So this is a card that you want to get rid of. So when you're crafting your save data, understand your character's kit. What does your character do in your character's kit that you want to basically amplify? She does a lot of healing, so I want to amplify her healing. I want to go all into that. So if you look at this data, this save data right here, she's all about healing. I even dropped one water barrier because I want her better heals compared to her water barrier. So this right here is just a save data that's just based on straight healing and nothing else. I don't want anything else. I don't want attacks. I don't even want draws in this deck. Even though drawing is very good and it could get me to my healing, right? This deck right here, I just want straight heals. So understanding your character's kit, you just want to amplify that part of the kit. And a good idea of how I did that is if we look at my horror save data on basically amplifying what my character wants to do. So if we look right here, I have two anchor pointer cards. The reason I have two anchor pointer cards is because anchor pointer gets me anchor shot. And what horror want to do is you want to spam anchor shot because it stacks damage and is a huge amount of damage. So you can stack the damage. Well, right here is plus 60, but I got an epiphany where it's plus 90. So you can stack this 5 times to get 450% damage, extra damage. And what anchor pointer do, it allows me to draw anchor shot from my draw pile or my graveyard and put it in my hand. Then on top of that, I was able to get a divination that allows me to get a draw 1. So on top of getting my anchor shot, I'm able to draw again. So for this save data, I could have replicated anchor shot for extra damage. If I got a chance, I would have got another anchor shot with anchor pointer. But since I have two anchor pointers, this allows me to do some crazy combos where I'm just spamming anchor shot. So the idea here is amplify what your character wants to do, and you go all into that to make the save data the best as possible. Now within save data, you also get equipment. So you want to understand what your character, what kind of equipment your character wants. So right here, this rating order says 20% damage to targets with shield. Do you know what how Pulverize does? It does more damage to targets with shield. So I am basically amplifying what she does already. Like as you can see, save data is basically understanding what you want to do for your character and just make it better. So this just increased her damage against all targets with shields. So she's just going to be a shield killer. Every enemy that has a shield, she's just going to destroy them. Now if we look at another save data, not this one, but I use this basically, well I use this data. It's not the best, but my idea about this save data, I went for multiple vulture ejections because I was using her with Horror, where Horror is able to cast Anchor Shot. Since I'm spinning Anchor Shot as a 2-cost card, it is proccing Calliope Vulture Ejection that's basically triggered off of 2-cost cards. So this team, I ran this team Mika, Horror, and Calliope. So Mika was the heal bot and giving me AP. Horror was the damage dealer that spamming Anchor Shot 2-cost card, and my Calliope was my sub DPS that gave me shields and a little bit of AoE damage. My Calliope was the AoE damage that proc off of Horror. So Horror did a lot of single target damage, and then my Calliope did all the AoE damage, as you can see here. My Calliope had multiple Vulture ejections, and then I also went for Great Soul Equivalent with 3-3. So when there's characters that had low HP and then die from a single target or some of her AoE, I could use Great Soul Equivalent to proc more AoE and just go more into that. And then also you can see that in this save data I wasn't able to remove some of her cards because this card is useless, this card is useless, and this card is useless for the build I'm going for. So I would have want to remove these 3 cards in order to make the perfect sub DPS and shielded type con for my Mika Horror team. If I was able to get these 3 off and just have this deck right here, this would be a great sub DPS build, basically a good support build for my Horror that's all about raw single target DPS. And the reason why this works, even though this deck still has a lot of cards I don't want, it still works out quite well because I went really into the draw factor. I'm basically able to draw my whole deck all the time, which really helps get out all my cards that I need. So Anchor Pointer thins the deck out with Anchor Shot, and then Anchor Pointer also draws, and these 2 cards retain, so I keep these cards in my hand and I'm just able to draw my whole deck very fast and dish out a lot of single target and AoE damage. So now you have a brief idea on what you want to really do with your save data. What you want to do with your save data, figure out what your character wants, and you've basically amplified that idea of that character. So then I also made a barrel. So we can look at this deck real quick. So this deck I want to go for a retain. So I use barrel with Mika and Calliope, and since they have a lot of retain damage or retain effects, I went for guilty pleasure, activate all retain effects, or activate the retain effect on all cards in hand. So this right here, this deck is going to be my deck I use with Calliope and Olea when I get them, because Olea also benefits for retain and a lot of retain effects. I built this specifically for that type of team. So we have a lot of save data. So basically you want to make multiple save data and basically figure out a type of strategy that you want and just amplify that idea and go all into it. So hopefully that really helped you understand and gave a better idea of how to use your save data in Chaos Zero Nightmare. Thanks for watching, and tell me some of the cool builds that you did in Chaos Zero Nightmare. I'm always down to learn and see what crazy things that people are doing, so I can also try them out and test it.